Alright guys, I'm just gonna go over how you can easily just I'm just gonna go over how you can easily enter on OTE and how you can easily find these trades, okay? So something really easy you can do is go to the 4 hour and just kind of find what bias we're in. Okay, we're definitely, let's go to today. Okay, it's 10 a.m. We're definitely in an uptrend, right? Okay, our targets are probably going to be this high, right? We got a big fair value gap over here that we're reacting off of. Cool. All right. Okay, so let's actually go back to 9 a.m. Okay, 9 a.m. We have this little mini high right here, so that's cool. We mark that out. Okay, we also have this high here too. So okay, we got a bunch of highs that we can target now, right? Now, if there's outstanding PD arrays like this order block for this order block or like this fair value gap, definitely mark those out. But they're definitely going to help you a lot. You don't have to mark them out. It's just really helpful just because they hold a very significant, like a very, very good significance over a lot of other things, right? So, for example, right now, going through our bias would just be 4 hour and 1 hour trend. Okay, 4 hour and 1 hour trend are bullish. Where are we going to target? These black lines that we have mapped out, right? How are we going to do that? Well, with OTE and a PD array, right? So you see we blow through here, which becomes our CISD. Our most recent CISD would be right here. Here's our breaker block. Okay, so now we kind of have an area, right? So let's draw our OTE fib, and let's wait. Okay, so we just don't come down. So you wouldn't have taken any trade here, right? But that's okay, because right here, we blow through this, right? You create this mini order block, which is also a CISD. If you go into the 1 minute, you can see this is CISD right there. 5 minute, you can use this swing low to draw. And then you would want to enter somewhere around the 50% of this, right? I don't know exactly, whatever you get filled. And now you would target the high, right? So boom, we go straight to the high. Boom, right there, right? Literally just off OT, right? So very, like, keep it stupid simple, bro. It's very, very easy, right? So today we come into 9:30 open, right? 4 hour, we're bullish. 1 hour, we're bullish. You see we have these PD arrays, this PD array right here, which is pretty significant. All right, whatever, go down to 15 minute. So now we're waiting for basically for our level to be hit, right? Nothing's really happening, we're just chopping. This is probably a good short setup, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. Well, let's see if we resweep actually. We just use this level. So you see we come down into this level. Pretty easy. Boom. It's an OT too. Okay, so we have a rejection zone somewhere where we want to see price reverse, right? So we clicks that 50% that we really like, right? Entry right there. Where's our targets? This high or this high. Since it's the end of the day, I'm just going to target true day open, which is a good target. You can also use true day open as kind of like support and resistance, but we'll go over that in another one. So here we go, right? Boom, comes retest that level again, and then we go straight to the take profit zone, right? So we can use this very simply just as an easy way to get some entries, right? Now you don't even have to go through the 4 hour and the 1 hour thing. If you really don't want to, I'm not going to keep you, right? Because right here, boom, we get that CISD. So now we're looking for an entry. We have a fair value gap right here, which is a BPR, right? And then I guarantee you it lines up with OTE. Cool, OTE, we come down into this. We get that move out where we target mean reversion, which is the 0. Boom, hits TP, right? And then you're done for the day. However, look, we get our, we get another CISD right here. So now we're looking for an entry somewhere around here, right? I can even go to the 15 minute. I would suggest going to the 1 hour because 5 minute is lined up with that. Boom, we have that mean reversion right there. Wait for price to come back up and touch this, right? You get filled, and then where are we targeting? We're going to target this low right here because it's mean reversion, but if you really want to, wherever you want to target, most likely you'll probably hit, right? So come down, and then we gap all the way down here, right? So you could see that the trade actually worked out, right? So we had that 1 hour gap. The reason why we took this, we had that 1 hour gap, and then we had the 15-minute gap right here. So this offered a little bit better of an entry. We come back into this 15-minute gap, gave us a little bit more of a better entry, right? If this works, I guess. Okay, we get filled right there, right? And then boom, gap down, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But you can just use this with CISD, so it's really simple, right? We have our first CISD right here. We went from changing from that downtrend to that uptrend, which is CISD, and our first one is always the most reactive. What do we come down into? That CISD. We're going to buy, and then we're going to target, like I said, we're going to target that true day open, or we can target this high, right? But we know that that high wasn't reached. So, boom. We'll go over another example right here. So today we're bullish, right? We're in this big bullish uptrend. Market opens. We dump. What do we dump into? This zone. Where's our CISD? Right here. We have it marked out. So we can limit that CISD. Boom, boom. Price comes back in down into it. Risk about $1,500. Where are we targeting? Mean reversion or this high. Oops. So boom, bang, right? Straight to the take profit. So OT is really easy to start seeing after you start seeing these, after you start seeing these CISDs, right? And one of my students, Max, he actually has like a CISD indicator or like an order block indicator. You can get that as well if you can't see them as good as I can or as good as everybody else can right now. Sometimes they're a little tricky to see, right? But we don't always come back into them. So we have our CISD right here, but you can see that we come into this zone and we retest, which I think is a 30-minute gap. Yeah, we retest this 30-minute gap instead of that CISD. Now, I can't exactly tell you why we did that, but that's kind of what happened. So you have to work off that, right? So we're in OT, and then where are we targeting that low, right? So boom, and then we get our move out, right? So perfect little entry there, and it's all just from that CISD. So you can start seeing these everywhere, right? So 5 minute, if you really want to do a 5 minute, you can. 15-minute might be a little bit easier just to start off with. That's kind of what I usually like. My bread and butter is usually 15 minutes, very good. So boom, you see we get a CISD right here. What do we immediately come back to? The CISD. It's so important, right? So we can use that block right there. Here's another order block, and then here's a fair value gap. So do you see how dark our level is right now? It means there's a lot of probability that we're going to move up here, right? So, and then obviously since we got the CISD to the upside, we're going to want to be bullish, so we're going to target that high, right? So boom, and then straight to that take profit zone. We even gapped up and even ran all the way up there. So you can see how powerful that entry was, right? Here's another one, same day, right? Look what we get. CASD, change in market structure. What's sitting right here? Fair value gap. 15-minute. There's a big 1 hour gap as well. So we mark that out. Go back down to the 15-minute. Here's another one. So we have a deep level right there. Sell limit right there. Boom. Immediately tap into it, right? Sorry, here's the OTE too. Immediately tap into OTE and that level. Now, I don't know where you target on this one. Probably this low right here, but realistically, you probably target this low too. Yeah, we gonna hit that. So it's just getting used to seeing this, right? And just getting used to identifying which trend we're in and why we're retesting and everything like that. Here's another perfect entry. CASD right here. Where the hell? Ew, why is it below? Oh, I don't like that. I swear I had a better one. Okay, we're gonna make it right now. CISD. No. Okay, you can see that we get our CISD right there. What the hell do we come back and touch? Bet you money on it. Holy, I got edged. No. I always be getting edged, bro, but whatever. You see that we came back in. Tap that level, and then where are we going to target? Bottom. Here's the OTE pull. A little easier to see on the 5-minute. Boom, OTE pull. Nice and easy. Where do we target? We target those lows, right? Boom, straight there. So, just getting used to seeing this, and it's really effective, especially you using it in trends. Like, that CASD pretty much signals that we're switching trends, which is really helpful because, you know, most of the time you don't really know when things are switching, right? This was news. But right here, you see that we get that CASD up here, so we don't have to worry. We know that coming back into this level is going to mean that we're going to short, right? So, boom. Look, we retested that 0.5 in this fair value gap like twice, and then we dumps. So, just getting used to that. Finding your bias through the 4 hour and the 1 hour and finding the PD rays are going to help you a lot. But the OTE and the CISDs are really, really important. So don't count those out, okay?